Hello, hello, hello. How are
Hello.
you?
This was back.
Guess who's back?
Back
again. Tell a friend. Yeah. Friends, you know we're not doing video for this one. Because I'm seeing myself in the monitor and all I'm seeing is money coming out of my bank account.
She got shook.
Okay, no, that's fine. Oh, and you don't have to take this part out when you edit. I was just like, all I'm seeing is pound dollar sign. But hi guys, welcome to Chat with Nat with me, Natasha. My friends call me Nat, so you can too. And I've got a very special guest, a shareholder. Like his shares keep increasing on this podcast. Hello, we've got Brian Lunga with us.
Hello, Natasha. It's good to be back.
Yes.
Good, yeah. It's good to be back, chat with you,
Mhm.
and increase my shares in the stake.
I see what's happening here. It's like when the settlers like arrived in Cape Town or wherever, and they're like, oh, can we just spend the night?
The next thing's like, guys, come. There's a little bit more land here. The next thing they found themselves way deep in Malawi or something.
Exactly. And then like Rhodes is like, oh, Cape to Cairo.
This looks fantastic. Sorry guys, this is not mine.
Exactly. No. Thank you so much. So I know a while back, some episodes, you joined and we were talking about what was happening in the world. And then we started talking about community versus capitalism. And you made a bold prediction about the decline of capitalism in the next 15 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, Brian, you need to come back so that we can talk about this. And for those of you who didn't listen, please listen to that episode. But I think we're just talking about the structures, in the world, right? And what's happening. So thinking about things like the LA fires as an example, right? That people's homes are were literally burnt down to the ground. That's one example. There's so many examples, right? Where it's like, even if you worked hard, you did everything that capitalism expected you of, right? You're not insulated, right? And only community can help you to build back up, right? And we also know as Zimbabweans, as Southern Africans, like the concept of Ubuntu really is sort of like how we've grown up, that umuntu ngabantu, like you are because of others, right? Yeah. Community plays such a big role, but over the years, and for some of us who have, moved to other countries, we've kind of adopted, I guess, Western values, or some Western values, for lack of a better word. And I just really wanted to kind of explore just the demands of capitalism, how well individualism is working or not working, and what we think about just the state of play, sort of like going forward. So I just kind of wanted to I wanted you to kind of expand on your whole capitalism is declining. And I know I shared some thoughts with you before, because I think it links in. There's just fatigue on a global wholesale level, right? Where people are realizing that this thing of like capitalism, work hard, learn hard, whatever.
And also, we've got to think, how much debt can one country get into?
Mm-hmm.
How much growth can one economy take?
Yeah.
So those things also become very important.
Yeah.
And that's when we start seeing the effects of it, when that sort of growth declines or that growth stagnates. Or we are in a situation where the debt is so high that they start cutting back services and all that kind of stuff. I think sometimes as human beings, we have a certain level of amnesia when we forget certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in the UK at the moment is very big on there's not enough hospital space, there's not enough school space, there's not enough this and that space. There's not enough police officers walking around. 15, 20 years ago, they closed down fire stations. They closed down hospitals, A&Es, departments. They closed down schools that they deemed were not functioning properly. They closed a lot of things down that was still not, and whatever was left was still not able to service that population then. There's been a population boom, whether it's people that have come in or people that have, children have been born here, whatever the case, there's been a population boom, full stop. That would have happened in any case. And those services were not replaced. Right? So when the economy stagnates, we always try to find blame and try to find something to it. And immigration always becomes the fall for it. That's just how life works. But the truth and matter of it is that all those things were closed down because economically we could not afford it. So how much growth can an economy take? How much debt can a country ever be in? Because America right now, we keep talking about trillions and trillions. UK, we're talking billions and billions. And we say, we've paid back a bit of debt. And our debt is, for example, let's say our debt is 500 billion. Then next year, we pay back our debt is 495 billion. Okay? It's a huge milestone, apparently. So this is why capitalism will become problematic eventually. Because on an economic scale as a country, there will just be so much burden on people. And then we start feeling the effects of it by services being cut back and all that. And the second part where we're going to feel the huge, serious issues with it is when it comes to pensions. Because when that economy stagnates, when inflation goes up, when debt goes up, it means obviously the value for your buck drops. So when it comes to pensions, if I have a pot right now of say £20,000 or $20,000 in pension pot, in the next 20 years, if there's high inflation and the decline, it means that 20,000 theoretically will become less than what it is. Because its buying power will be incredibly less. And then as a result, people are now going to think, why am I even working this hard? That's before we even get to the social issues such as women working. Right?
Make sure people don't clip that. Like the social issues, women working. Imagine someone will be like, Brian, are you against women working?
I'm just saying, princess treatment is a thing.
No, but let's build on that, right? Because and I think you've set out well, sort of like the big macro issues, right? In terms of what's affecting countries and the whole debt thing, and then the whole performance that countries do. Like America's really great at it. Like, oh my God, the debt ceiling. Oh my God, Congress, and then like they vote for it, and like it's thing. But then I guess now sort of distilling it into just like households, right? Like what capitalism means, and I know we're laughing about like women working, whatever, because one of the things that when initially you spoke about capitalism, I was like, what, I think the whole like rise of tread wives, right? So like the Nara Smith people, the rise in like people, doing TikToks, being homemakers, and people wanting to kind of tap into, being homemakers, being content creators. And there was a really, really good podcast that Trevor Noah, his podcast, I forget the name of it. What's his podcast name? I forget. So Trevor Noah does this podcast with Christiana, and they had a guest on, and they were kind of talking about specifically just about the whole like tread wives and why is there a rise in, women essentially no longer wanting to participate in the corporate world, right? And wanting to stay at home. But I guess there's another angle of it, is staying at home, but still being content creators, which is still work, right? But I guess a sort of shift in what can look like, oh my God, women fought for years for us to have these rights, right? To be in the workplace, to, break the glass ceilings, become directors and managers. But I think there's something where people are just collectively tired because of this need to kind of tap into your individual, like, how much can I make it? And then when you come together, even maybe as a married couple, whatever, you're still thinking, okay, as a household, how much should we make? And people are just tapping out. And I think women have some have kind of, they're leaning into this, like, I want to be at home, right? I want to stay at home. I don't want to be going to work, dealing with work politics, juggling my family and home life. There's been a glorification of doing it all and balancing it all. And actually, there's some women that are pushing back and like, actually, no. Like, I can't do it all at the same time.
It's impossible,
right?
No matter who you are.
Exactly. But I also wonder what that is doing to men, right? Hear me out, because and then maybe it links in to how, I know this thing is probably like, it's regional, but like, say South Africa, especially like I see it like with South Africa, like the whole like Indo Damast, right?
Yeah.
The whole expectation of, as soon as I start talking to a guy, dating a guy, oh, I need money for this, I need money for that, right? Because the expectation is, oh, I'm a princess.
Princess treatment is real.
And then also, even in that, what may seem like it's a light-hearted thing, but then you talk about households, right? Where maybe the household identifies that, okay, there's a need for you as the woman, maybe reduce your hours, stay at home, and look after home front. But is that putting more pressure on men? Because we're still doing all of that. We're finding ways to escape capitalism without really strengthening the community element of it.
I think the first part, in my opinion, you say, our women fought for this to happen. Great. Fantastic. But because it's been fought for, it doesn't mean that there then has to be a universal blanket that everyone needs to do.
Yeah.
When people fight for a cause, it simply means an option is there.
It's created.
Yeah. It should be an option. It's optional.
Yeah.
If the cause has been fought for, it means then it gives you the option as an individual to decide what works best for you.
Yeah.
Right? So I think sometimes we put ourselves under too much pressure. And in this case, I think some women are put under too much pressure in that, well, people fought for your rights. Therefore, you should. No.
Yeah.
People fought for your rights so you can have a choice to do something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what people fought for, so you can have that choice.
Mm.
And it's interesting that you're speaking about the male aspect. Does that put pressure on some men? Blah, blah, blah. But I think that really depends on the motivations of the person you're with. Because there's some people that are very good homemakers out of love, dedication, and working hard in that home sort of social space.
Yeah.
But equally, there's some people that unfortunately didn't come from well-to-do homes.
Yeah.
And therefore, as a result, this is their come-up. So you doing things for them becomes a come-up aspect. Right?
Yeah.
So the motivations become very different. There's probably other 5, 10 different examples from emotional balance, trying to find emotional balance, blah, blah, blah. There's so many other aspects to it.
Yeah.
But I think the core context is the motivation that people have to these things. Are you motivated by trying to come up? Are you motivated by other means? So that becomes a thing. And I think that on its own sort of then helps put the men in a mindset of what to do, when to do. Right? If you're coming from a poverty point, you'll always find every man useless, unfortunately, because they will never meet. They will never meet what you're looking for. even the richest billionaire on earth, you can date the richest billionaire, but you will never meet what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Because as much as he can provide everything for you financially, you'll find that maybe emotionally you can't.
Yeah.
So there'll always be something missing.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult in that regard to actually say what effect it has on men. But we all know the suicide rates amongst men are very high based on so many different factors, and some of them being the factor of the pressure of being needed to provide, not only for their own family, immediate family, wider family, and extended family, you name it. So we know that. And some of it is attributed to capitalism on its own, because there's only so many people your paycheck can feed.
Yep.
Right? Even if you're a millionaire, there's only so many people your paycheck can feed.
Yeah.
Right? You can feed half of Zimbabwe, fine. But you can't feed all of Southern Africa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? There's only so many people your paycheck can feed, especially if you are an honest, hardworking person.
Yeah.
It just gets to a point where you ask yourself, why am I even doing this?
Yeah.
And this is where I think the problematics of capitalism really come into play. Because as an individual, you're working hard, but for what? Because it feels whatever you attain and whatever you gain, there's problems with it.
Yeah.
Right? If my mission is to buy a car today, I've bought it. Then someone starts talking to me about insurance. Someone starts talking to me about tires. Someone starts talking to me about service. Someone starts talking to me about shock absorbers. Someone's talking to me about the engine needs this and that. Right? If I then go on and buy a house, the attainment of getting a house, someone starts talking about home insurance. Things you might not have never considered. Someone needs a surveyor. Someone needs this and that. And then all of a sudden, it feels that like everything you attain, there's no gold mine to it. There's no glorification to it. It's more than anything else. You are inheriting more or different set of problems. So as much as we are achieving all these things, they're all coming with their own headaches. And this is where I think the whole frame and structure of it becomes very difficult. And then while you're attaining those things, you're blocking everything and everyone around you off. The social aspect disappears because you need to work X amount of hours, right? Perfect case study at the moment is Japan.
Okay.
Japan is one of the lowest birth rates in the world. Everyone in Japan is getting old. No one in Japan, mind my language here, but no one in Japan is having sex.
There's this movement, I forget the name, like this thing about women not, let me Google it. Keep talking.
But no one in Japan is having sex.
Yeah.
Because the capitalistic society and the capitalism when it was pushed down in Japan made people work very long, strenuous hours. It's the same with South Korea, where working for Samsung, LG, Kia is the be and end all. People commit suicide for not getting into Samsung as a getting a job at Samsung after university.
Yeah.
Or after X amount of years working. Because that's the be and end all. People are working long hours in Japan. They're going to school for long hours. They're getting home, going straight to sleep, and waking up next morning, they're back at it again. To the point that in Japanese culture, having a nap at work is actually seen as a good thing. Because you're a very good employee that's worked very hard, that you deserve a nap, and when you wake up, you're going to work hard again.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yep. Wow.
So we got to think as a society, how long can that go on for? Or at least we are blocking out, time with our families, time with our children, time with, with our elderly that we need in our society. So this is where I think socially, capitalism starts grinding to a halt in parts. And I think, I'm not quite sure if I mentioned this before in the previous episode that we once did, that you look at the new generation nowadays. People are saying, oh, this new generation is so work shy. They don't want to work. No, it's not that they don't want to work. It's that they've had a very good view. As much as our generation, we had a very good view of technology.
Yeah.
We saw the video cassette. Yeah. Then we saw the Blu-ray DVD. Yeah. We saw the streaming websites downloading from LimeWire. We had a very good view of that.
Yeah.
Right? They're just now privileged enough to have a very good view of work life from a very different perspective.
Yeah.
Because of social media, because of all the other little elements that they have around them. Right? So it's not that they're work shy as much as generations before us.
Yeah.
Working hard was the be and end all.
Yeah.
A husband coming back from the mines at 10 p.m. full of mud, full of this and that was seen as a very good thing.
Yeah.
Right? And us growing up, going into an office was seen as a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? So we can't say they're work shy. They've been in a position where they've seen work from a different perspective.
Yeah.
As much as, they've seen COVID, hybrid working became a thing more, remote working became a thing more.
Yeah.
They've seen that.
Yeah.
And to them, that works.
Yeah.
And in reality, it works. They've seen 4-day working weeks. It works.
Exactly.
So if all of that works, they're looking at it and thinking, if all of that works, why am I going into the office 9 to 5 every day? It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't.
Yeah. Like we're just going to the office to help Pret or whoever, all these companies that rely on people buying lunch.
You're helping a billionaire.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think, I guess when we were growing up, you would see someone working, right? Then you'd see them, from the little that they've worked, you'd see them getting these almost markers of success, for lack of a better phrase, right? They've got their home, they've got even if it's modest, right? It makes sense. You see the growth. It's okay. They did this, they got this. They did this, they got this. And then I think for us, it's kind of like things are just so unattainable.
Yeah.
You work so hard, but how are you going to get on the housing ladder? So there's things where people are kind of like, so the generation Gen Z or whoever, they're looking and like, these people are working hard, but for what?
Exactly.
Right? And even if you work hard, then things crumble.
Or
you
get
get
control.
sick, and it's like kind of like, but what were you working so hard for? So I think, listen, I don't blame them because they're looking at us and thinking, nah, I don't want to be like these people.
And then this is what I mean, that everything's about a different lens.
Yeah.
They have a different lens to us.
Yeah.
And their lens is saying, no, this can't work this way. They're seeing governments right across the world increasing the rate of age of retirement.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you need to work till you're 70. It won't be long till you, now you need to work till you're 75.
80.
Yeah, it won't be long.
Honestly.
It won't be long.
It won't be long. Work till you're 80.
Because it goes back to my earlier point. How much debt can a country have?
Yeah.
How much growth can a country have economically?
Yeah.
It makes it incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
You need to keep those things going. And the only way you can keep it going in the capitalistic world is that you need to get people working as long as possible for longer hours and a longer lifespan. And the younger kids are looking at it and thinking, this just doesn't make sense to us.
Yeah. But so how do we, I guess, not fight, but I think I know the answer, but how do we convince other people that we need to invest in building community? Because I don't know when I'm going to need you. You don't know when you're going to need me.
But I think we also need to take a leaf from the Nordic countries.
Okay.
Nordic countries are very good at this.
Yeah.
Where the work-life balance is very good. Okay. But equally with very strong economies with very good service delivery.
Yeah.
Whether it's finding a way of having flexible working, whatever the case is, Nordic countries have found the balance.
Right.
Some of them would finish work at 3 p.m. Some will finish work at 2 p.m. Some at 4, depending on your industry, depending on what you do.
Yeah.
Recently, I have a friend who's a doctor that's moved to New Zealand, and she was saying she starts work at 9, she finishes at 5:30.
Oh wow!
On a good day. Of course, there are longer days in the hospital because some days you have an emergency or something critical has happened. You have to stay on until 8, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
That's acceptable.
Yeah.
If your other normal days are just a simple 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And you're exchanging with people that are going to take another similar shift.
Yeah.
Whereas here and in some places, the culture now in hospitals and in any healthcare setup or other industries is that doing 12 hours is a sign of working hard. It's a sign of productivity and being given 30-minute lunch in between a 12-hour shift. And the only way we can convince each other that this is not the way forward is by just looking at the results on the table. how much time are we spending with our families? How much time are we spending with our kids?
Yeah.
If the time you spend with your kid is 10 minutes before bed, 10 minutes in the morning, and then ship them out to somebody else to look after them.
Yep. Yeah.
Then clearly something is not working. You're literally working to pay off childcare.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You're working to pay off childcare, which, if you really think about it, in a logical sense, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That you are getting paid to pay somebody else to look after your child.
Exactly.
And then after that, you're left with probably X amount of money that you want to utilize on a Saturday to take them out to the cinema.
Yeah.
And then that's it. That's your interaction done.
That's even if you have the energy on the Saturday.
Exactly.
If you know, like your workplace hasn't zapped the energy from you Monday to Friday.
And then we want to turn around and cry and say our children don't know us.
Yeah.
How would your child know you if all they know is of you asking them, have you ate?
Yeah.
Yes, I've ate. How was your day? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
A lot of people right now, as we speak, and especially within our communities that have migrated, a lot of them, if we were to really ask them the honest truth about their children's interests, they have no clue because they just don't spend enough time with them.
But also, it's not on purpose.
No, it's not on purpose, 100%. It's purely because of the system.
Yeah.
Right? And it's even worse here because you can't even back home, as much as people romanticize where they've come from. Back home, we used to do this. We could leave our children with our uncles and do this. It's no longer the same because that's catching up as well.
Yeah.
So the romanticness and romanticization of, I can't leave my children with anybody here because they're working. It's the same.
Yeah.
Even in a place like Zimbabwe, people would rather go off and hustle and say, if I'm not working, I'd rather go and hustle.
Yeah.
Right? And then eventually you come back home, there's nobody else in the house.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I noticed that, like when I went to Zim last year, that a lot of it's now almost the same. Things are kind of sipping into to Zim as well. But you know what? I think just the final point, I think for me, it's just like we have to find a way to find each other, right? Make time for each other. Just invest in each other in some way, just in terms of time. Because everyone is going through it, and it is capitalism is not working. But we're going to monitor, as Brian said, that the decline of capitalism. And maybe look at countries like Cuba and, and sort of see like what's worked for them, what hasn't worked for them.
Yeah. I think it's that sort of blend. Blend, and as I say, look at the Nordic countries, that blend of community sense of looking after each other.
Yeah.
Plus the blend of, okay, fine, we're still achieving things, we're still attaining things.
Yeah.
I think what people should most construe is that saying capitalism isn't fully working doesn't mean we have to throw away the attainment and achievements that people have made.
Yeah.
You buying a house is a very good thing.
Yeah.
You buying your car is a very good thing because that's what you need to be mobile and do things you want to do and be comfortable in your space.
Yeah.
You need that 100%. But what we're saying now is that there's other part of it where the social aspect really comes into it, the community part really comes into it. We're saying that as much as you've attained this, enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? What's the point of then attaining a beautiful house that you only spend 2 hours a day in? Enjoy it. Spend more time in the house. Spend more time with your family is the point. Right? What's the point of you having a very beautiful car that you can't even enjoy having a day trip with?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just drive about, have a day trip. And the only way you can do that is if, you have a certain level of flexibility within your work and within your job. I think eventually we'll get more flexibility. And this is where I say capitalism as we know it today will be very different in 20 years' time.
Yeah.
Because that level of flexibility we're getting, the growth of social media things, the growth of this and that, will then mean that eventually we will be in a lot more flexible, we'll have a lot more flexible approach with life and how we do things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I look forward to it. Honestly, because I is tired, man. I'm anyway, we're gonna bring this conversation to